Welcome back to the 9th session on Human Resources Management, HR1. Okay, we have discussed in the past, there are some sources as always, some papers that I got the information from, some books that I referred to, so you can actually go through this list and maybe access the full texts of the articles, or go through the books that I've been consulting. We talked about, in the last session, we talked about self-development, and we talked about how you as a professional can develop your own career in the organization. And you may wonder why I am constantly insisting on your development as a professional in a course on human resources management. You'll say, we need to manage others. Why are you telling us about ourselves? My answer to that is that unless you know how to manage your own career, you cannot direct others on how to manage their careers. You cannot help your employees or the employees in your organization to develop their careers unless you are able to develop your own career yourself, unless you're able to manage your own career yourself, which is why this whole emphasis on self management of your own career to start with. Okay. Self-development, we talked about domains, things that people are concerned about regarding their careers. People work because they want money. People work because of the quality of work. People also work because they want a better life at the end of it all, and one needs to know where one stands in each of these domains. So we've already discussed this. We also talked about development suggestions, and I'll just go through it once again, just briefly. The first thing that you need to do in order to develop your own life and advise others on how to develop their own careers and lives is identifying one's mission. You need to know what you want at the end of your life, or not the end of your life, but at the peak of your life, at the peak of your careers. You should know what you're heading towards. What kind of a role would you like to play? What do you like to do? Do you like to sit and punch in numbers? Do you like to talk to people? Do you like networking? Do you like to meet lots of people? Do you like telling people what to do, which is why I'm in this profession. I enjoy telling my students what to do, so I love this profession. I help them build their careers, which is a satisfaction. On the more humorous side, I'm constantly telling them what to do, and fewer people are telling me what to do, so it works well both ways. But anyway, that's a joke. So jokes apart, one has to understand what kind of work one can live with. And I told you the last time, the acid test is, at least that is my personal acid test, and that is, what would you like to do if somebody woke you up from a deep sleep at 2 a.m. when you had 104 degrees temperature, clogged nose, everything, and somebody just woke you up and asked you to do something? What is it that would still motivate you despite your own personal discomfort and illness? What is it that you would really like to do? Identify that and find a career that has a lot more of whatever you like to do, and go for it. Keep learning. As long as we are learning, we are engaged. I have a student who is working on aging, and we've been talking about things, and we were discussing about how people keep learning throughout their lives, and education is one profession in which we have this inherent need in the profession to keep learning. Every day we are expected to learn new things because our students are always 10 steps ahead of us, and we try and stay 10 steps ahead of them, and that is a big motivator. We stay forever young. We at least don't want to believe that we are aging. Why? Because we are constantly learning new things, constantly trying to update ourselves, constantly trying to exercise our mind. And it has been scientifically proven that if you keep exercising your mind, if you keep engaged intellectually, there is a very, the risk of diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia is reduced considerably. So if you keep your mind active, it's very helpful. So that's why I love my profession. I know I will hopefully not lose my mind ever if I keep learning. But that's a big motivator in your career. You should have a career that motivates you to learn as you go along. The other thing is developing competencies. Look ahead and do what you need to do to take care of the larger goal in life. Absolutely necessary to have a focus. And finding a mentor, somebody who has been in your chosen profession for a while, knows the insides of it, knows what to expect, knows the limitations, knows and understands what is coming, and can help you go through these problems, can help you find your way through the vagaries of the profession that you choose for yourself. So it's very essential to have a senior person whose advice you can depend on when you choose a career, and that is a big step in managing your career well. Okay, all right. Advancement suggestions. I told you, you need to market yourself, you need to make yourself known. I know this is a repetition, but I'm emphasizing on this, I'm insisting on this because this is absolutely essential for you. You need to be able to share with the world what you are, who you are, what you can do, and you need to be able to let people know what you're capable of doing. Only then will you get the opportunities that you deserve. You also need to understand how your industry is moving along. You need to understand business trends, which is how is the industry that you want to work on or work in moving on. What is the industry doing next? How is it evolving? What is your contribution going to be? Where do you fit in the larger picture of things? It's very essential to know what one wants to do and what one likes to do. It's also just as essential to understand where one fits in and how one can contribute to the industry that one wants to be or is a part of. Okay, and of course, resolving problems and improving your communication skills. Again, my basic training is in communication, and I keep emphasizing that you may be an expert in anything, but as long as you are able to convey that expertise to people who can use that expertise, your expertise is of no value. You need to be able to communicate what you know to the people who can use what you know. Either through the way you communicate it to them, or either in the same raw form that you communicated to them, or find applications for the new knowledge you create or whatever you understand. But then they should be able to, you can't work in isolation. We all work in teams. Whatever we do has a background and contributes to something in future, and unless we can convey or communicate whatever we know to people who can use it, our knowledge is really of no real value. Okay, all right. And I told you the exercise, this is something that will help you. So if you haven't done it till now, I suggest you do it. Okay, I told you about career objective and profile summary, and I gave you an exercise last time. I hope you've done it. If not, please do it, and please get it evaluated by anyone you trust. You don't have to come to a teacher in human resources or communication or career planning or talent management or a psychologist to help you interpret what you write. This is something that you yourself can interpret, and something that anyone in your chosen profession can help you interpret and work towards. It's absolutely essential to know where you're going, how you can reach wherever you are going, what steps you will need to take, and how much time you will need to stop at every step, what will you need at every stage, so what will you be, how will you change. I mean, we may not be able to see the future, but we can plan as far ahead of time as possible, knowing whatever we know, and then the chances of modification, intelligent, known modifications increases as we go along. We understand the path. So that's very essential. We talked about effective career development. We talked about the assessment phase. We did not get a chance to talk about career anchors that much. I told you that career anchors are the core values of a worker, and the identification takes place through a career anchors orientation inventory by Shine. And career anchors are what help you stay connected with your career, and we briefly went through the implications for each career anchor so identified. So it's very important to identify what is it that holds us to our careers, what is it that we find worthy in our careers, what is it that we identify our careers with, and that is what we call as a career anchor. And this career anchor helps us stay connected with, feel like a part of, develop our identities in relation to the career that we are a part of. So, or the career that we choose for ourselves. I'm saying we are a part of because I feel that, you know, we spend 8 to 10 to 14 to 16 hours a day sometimes at our jobs. We don't get to spend as much time with our families as we are required to spend at work. So it's very essential that we choose something that we like, because whatever we do eventually makes us who we are. Our identity is defined to a large extent in any society by what we do, especially in community oriented societies, but even otherwise, whatever we do for a living defines ourselves, our being. So it's very essential to understand our careers and treat our careers as, you know, something that we are a part of and something that governs the rest of our life. And that is why managing our careers is very essential. Knowing what core values hold us to our careers is very, very essential at this point. Okay. We talked about organizational assessment, you know, how organizations assess their employees. We also talked about the direction phase. So we talked about assessing careers. We were slowly moving into the direction phase of career development, and now I'll focus more on this. Direction means we determine the type of career the employees in the organization want and the steps they must take to realize their career goals. The exercise that I gave you is more about finding your direction. The sole purpose actually of that exercise is to help you find your direction in life. You're welcome to use that exercise with your employees. It will be nice if you can give credit you know, to the originator of the exercise, but even otherwise it is you're free to use the exercise any way you want, as long as it helps the people you use it with, and please do it with your own self also, to, you know. So okay, individual career counseling is one way of finding your direction. One-on-one sessions with the goal of helping employees examine their career aspirations. This can be done through various websites also. Some examples are given here. Careerplanning.com is one, careerjournal.com is another. Then we have information services that help you develop your careers. We have skills inventories, we have career paths, we have career resource centers. In organizations, we have job posting systems where you can move on to the next phase of your career. You can find what you like and you can move towards it. We talked about taking actions to create and increase skills to prepare for future job requirements. We talked about mentoring, somebody advising you, somebody who knows about the profession advising you about the ins and outs of the profession is called mentoring. It is very essential to find a mentor. It is very essential to find somebody who knows what you are headed towards. And mentoring is an essential part of career development. Okay, coaching is another one. Ongoing, sometimes spontaneous meetings between managers and their employees to discuss the employees' career goals and development. Coaching is more formal. Mentoring is more informal. Mentoring happens, you know, and mentoring is more overarching than coaching. Coaching is only directing the employee towards the next step in career development in the chosen career. Mentoring is more about managing ourselves, managing our frustrations and anxieties and aspirations from the career we decide to enter into. Tuition assistance programs are another way in which the organization can contribute to the development of the careers of its employees. So many organizations these days sponsor your higher education. They'll send you abroad for a PhD, they'll send you to different business schools for an MBA, so various things, or masters in engineering program or an MTech program, or whatever. I mean, so organizations help you improve. They help you get these additional degrees. And I told you about the training paradox a couple of sessions ago, which is developing your careers and at the same time wondering whether you're going to leave the profession or leave that particular organization. It's a well-known fact that a lot of people use reputed organizations as springboards to either go abroad or go into their chosen professions or get into better jobs. So they may join, say, a place like IIT as a teaching assistant, as a research assistant, learn from here, maybe get a PhD here, and then eventually become a faculty member at another IIT or IIM or IISc or some reputed institute of higher education, on the basis of the work they have done at an institute like an IIT. Nobody expects to be a research associate all of his or her life, but whatever they learn in their roles as research assistants or research associates or project staff is very helpful for their development and also motivates them to take on better professions later on in life, and maybe it gives them a flavor of what academics is like, and if they like it, they go ahead and enroll for a PhD program at a good institute. So it's a lot of hard work, but it's also an opening. So the same thing happens with these tuition assistance programs. I mean, we encourage our employees. Excuse me. The other thing is job rotation. We talked about assigning employees to various jobs so that they acquire a wider base of skills. Some ways to rotate jobs: project rotation, rotation across special projects, where you move an employee from one project to another and give them training in the requirements of both of these projects. Partial rotation is rotation to other departments for specific time periods, for example, once a week or 1 week in a month, etc. So you say, okay, you're an academic, you're working, you're helping as a project staff in this particular project, but then maybe occasionally you can go and help in another project whenever they need this kind of specialized help. Maybe you're good with, say, a software like SPSS, and you are officially associated with one project, but another faculty member again, I'm talking only about academics because that is something I know best, and so you go and another faculty member comes and says, can you spare this research assistant for some work I have with SPSS? So you go and deal with another set of data and learn something more about, say, another project in a related or maybe even an unrelated department, and sort of so it's partial rotation. Or maybe you're good with statistical tools. One day you analyze, you keep doing things in one department and you're borrowed by another department for a day or a week in a month to help them solve their problems, and that way you get a flavor for another department and your avenues open up quite a bit. Cross-functional rotation, movement of employees between business units or functions, which means that you may be doing one thing on one day and something totally different on another day, and this helps the organization, because anytime an employee is not able to come, or there's a flux, the organization is able to bring employees from another department to cover for the employees who have not come. So you learn different functional skills, you learn different things, and you move from one functional area to another. You could be teaching one day, you could be helping with research another day, you could be correcting assignments on a third day, you could be writing up a research proposal on a fourth day, you could be helping somebody with photocopying on a fifth day, or you could be mentoring students on a sixth day. So you're trained in all of these different aspects of a job. Or say in the service industry, I know about hotel management, you could be manning the front desk one day, helping out in the kitchen the next day. You could be doing food and beverage service and mixing cocktails on a third day. You could be looking after housekeeping on a fourth day. So or I mean, you could be put in these different departments, so that when you become a anytime anyone doesn't show up, you can be called, and when you become a manager, you know what each of these areas entails. So that's very helpful for the organization. That is called cross-functional rotation. The next is cross-region rotation, rotation between regions or countries. This is what happens in the civil services and the armed forces, where you are sent to various regions, where you're sent to work in different countries, where you're sent to look after the work in different geographical regions. And that is very helpful, because it helps you get a sense of the business, of the organization, of the industry, and it also helps you become very diverse in your approach. It helps you learn to deal with different situations in different geographical locations. But that is another thing that happens. The other thing is temporary rotations, rotations to fill short-term needs created by vacations, sick leave, turnover, etc. Anytime somebody is out, you are put in as a substitute. So that is a temporary rotation. It's not a permanent move, but you just step in when somebody is not there. Interdepartmental mentoring, which is coaching new employees in different departments. So you are now senior, you know a lot about different departments, you become a manager, you, because of the extent of experience you have, you are asked to go and coach and help mentor the employees in another department. So that's another way of job rotation. It helps break the monotony, and it also helps you learn new things. So these are some ways of rotating jobs. And one, it helps keep people interested in their work. Monotonous things, doing the same thing day after day, year after year, becomes too much sometimes. The other thing it helps you do is it helps you learn a lot more. So, and it helps the organization. Whenever the organization is in a fix, whenever somebody is not there, if they have facilitated rotation of jobs among their employees, they will find somebody who can step in and help out with this lean phase of employees not being there for a while. So that's very helpful. Okay. We were talking about methods of career management. Role of employer in career management is tailored in-house. How does the employer help? We were talking about self-development. Now we come to the role of the employer. Employers can provide tailored in-house career management methods. For example, there is a Hewlett-Packard career self-management program. I'll see if I have the time, I'll cover it. Otherwise, you can Google this and you can find this online. Then you have career planning workshops organized by different industries, different organizations. We have lifelong learning budgets. For example, some organizations allocate a yearly budget to training, to the purchase of books, to training programs. In academics like institutes of higher education like ours, we have a specific budget allocated to our development, so we can go and learn a new skill, we can get a new certification, we can go for a conference, we can so it's called the faculty development fund. And we have this opportunity, we have been given this brilliant opportunity of developing something new. If I wanted to go and learn German, the institute would sponsor that, because I'm going to add to my skill set. So they have a lifelong learning budget. They realize that for us, learning something new, whether it's in our line or not, is going to only motivate us and enhance our commitment to our professions and to our organization. So that's very nice. Role reversal is another one, where occasionally you let people see things from the other person's perspective. You at least occasionally you have a dress down day, you let people see things from the inside. Career success teams are there, where teams are put together, where people who are performing well are put in teams and encouraged to share their experiences and motivate other members of the team. We have career coaches through the organization. We have people who go around from department to department and coach and mentor the employees who are struggling with or who seem or feel stuck in their roles. And we have online programs. We also have commitment oriented career development efforts. For example, we have career oriented appraisals of course for the purpose of finding out what the employee has done in the past year, but also for the purpose of finding out how the employee's career can shape up in future. Mentoring, where the coaching focuses on daily tasks that you can easily relearn. Mentoring focuses on relatively hard to reverse long-term issues and often touches on the person's psyche. So, there are daily tasks that one feels uncomfortable about or not so skilled in and needs help. Mentoring could also focus on things that one feels trouble dealing with, maybe dealing with office politics, dealing with aggressive co-workers, dealing with manipulation, dealing with lazy co-workers, people who one is dependent on but who don't give you the work that you need in order to complete your work. Dealing with different cultures within the organization, dealing with different genders. So all of this can be dealt with. Effective mentoring requires trust, it requires professional competence, it requires consistency. You have to be consistent with the same employee from at different time periods. You also need to be consistent in the manner in which you deal with different employees. So ability to communicate, ability to assure the employees and reassure them about how well or about the commitment of the organization to their welfare, and readiness to share control. Mentoring is not only about teaching people how to deal with their careers, it's also about sharing control. It's also about helping employees understand that they are in charge of their own lives, and you are only going to help them, you're only going to be by their side to pick them up when they fall down. Okay, so that is an essential aspect of mentoring. Only then is it successful. Okay, let's come to something different now. Succession planning is another topic. We have employees, we've helped them develop their careers. Now we need to help employees move on. Okay, one of the ways in which employees move on from their jobs is by going to a different department, by going to a higher position. So at that point we need to plan for their succession, and Harrison, McKinnon and Terry 2006 in Neer and McLean 2011 say that succession planning is about developing potential employees for success. Succession planning is about helping a person who's going to take on your responsibility after you move understand the responsibility. McConnell 1996 says that it's a strategic process to assist organizations in identifying, selecting, training and developing potential employees. Excuse me. Wilcox says that it's a structured approach to create consistent and continuous leadership in the organization. So succession planning in essence is only or is all about helping the new person who's coming in take on your responsibility in this chosen or in the role that you're currently in, and helping you hand over the responsibilities that you're so efficiently executing to another person who's going to take them on after you move to a different role, a higher position, move out of the organization, etc. Okay. Significance. It assures. Why is succession planning important? Succession planning is important because it assures the continuity of prepared leaders for key executive positions. So succession planning in a higher position or for a higher position ensures that whoever comes takes on the responsibility or is able to deal with or lead the organization in as efficient a manner as the previous person, or even a more efficient manner than the previous person in that role, and the organization has a continuous supply of leaders who are prepared to help it move forward. The other benefit of having a succession plan in place is the engagement of senior management teams in a disciplined process of reviewing the corporation's leadership talent. So when you plan for another person, there is somebody who is overseeing the whole process. So people senior to you have they are able to see what you've been doing. They're able to monitor and review and assist you or the next person in doing what needs to be done in order to take the organization forward, in order to assign the leadership position to a deserving candidate, in order to find talent in the existing employees and help them lead the organization towards its vision and mission. Putting diversity issue on the corporate agenda, again succession planning means that you again from time to time assess who is capable of filling the shoes of the person who is leaving, and at that time one can take active steps to ensure that diversity is catered to. You don't let anyone get left behind because they belong to a different caste, because they belong to a different sect or community or religion or region or whatever. Guiding the development activities of key executives, again when somebody is overseeing your work, they will pitch in if they feel there is a need to pitch in, and they will help you move forward in your work. Re-examining corporate and business unit structure, processes and systems. When you review a process, when you review the demands of a position from at a set time, you also examine the position, the role in its entirety, and succession planning gives you a chance to review the demands of this role from time to time and add to it, or add the resources required for you to perform in that role, or resources required by anyone who's performing in who's handling the responsibility of that role. Alignment with other human resources that support the leadership renewal process, for example selection systems, rewards, etc. I'm sorry, I forgot to close the bracket. So anyway, so that's where this is. So it helps you to align with other processes within the human resources system. You sort of readjust yourself, you modify yourself, your work, not really modify but adapt whatever you are doing to fit in with the requirements of the rest of the HR system, and find out where people need to be rewarded, how people need to be selected, etc. Contributing to the shareholder value. When the whole purpose of having a succession plan in place is to ensure that the work goes on even if the people doing that work change. When that happens, the work does not suffer, and if the work does not suffer, the output does not suffer. If the output does not suffer, the stakeholders in that organization keep getting what they have always been getting out of that organization's output. And so if a plan is put in place while there is still time, the stakeholders keep getting what they want, and their belief, their faith in the organization does not suffer. And even though they realize that the organization is going through a flux, they also realize that the organization has taken enough steps to ensure the continuity of processes and outcomes, and at that point their belief increases and the value they assign to the organization keeps increasing. So it's very helpful to have a succession plan in place. Now, what are the challenges? The first set of challenges has to deal with the managerial factors. Excuse me. The first one here is management's fear of succession planning due to the possibility of change. Everybody is scared of change. Nobody likes change. Why? Because we have to work extra hard to adapt ourselves. Why do we dislike change? Because we have to move from the status quo, we have to move from what is going on in a routine, and we have to do something different, so people don't like it. So the management is scared that if another person comes, they will do things differently. We don't know how we'll be able to deal with this person, so let the same person continue, and that becomes difficult. Lack of scientific human resources management. Managers being changed regularly leads to a lack of responsibility by the manager. When you know that you're not going to be in a role for more than 2 years or 3 years, the commitment to that role goes down. They say, especially towards the end of one's tenure, one feels, why should I bother? Why should I care? Let things go on the way they are going on, and that creates a problem. Then lack of skills, information and awareness by the manager. So people don't know. One is people are not willing. Two, people don't know how to train their successors, and that creates a problem. Okay. The other, and of course incompetent managers, again not knowing what to do, not knowing that one doesn't know, so that can be a problem. Okay. The next set of problems, next set of challenges is the cultural factors, which include lack of succession planning culture. The organization has made up its mind to not change employees. They're just happy with the way things are going. So the organization does not have this culture of training new employees. When they come, they figure their way around. They may fail. If they fail, it's their problem, not the organization's problem. So that is the attitude. Ignoring talent in the organization could be a cultural factor. The organization is so set in its views that it doesn't want to even acknowledge that somebody with a different set of talents must have or would have come to the organization. Inappropriate organizational culture, again, not very comfortable. It's not considered comfortable by the employees, so that could be a reason for not, or a reason for not wanting to plan for a successor. Fear of succession planning, not believing in successors in the organization. We just believe that whoever is doing the job today will do it best. We don't know, as they say, a known devil is better than an unknown devil. So the known devil is the person who's doing the job moderately well or maybe below average, and you say, I don't know who the next person will be, and I don't know how they will perform the same job. They could be worse than this employee also, and that brings in a resistance to succession planning. Some more factors to succession, or some more factors that could be seen as challenges to succession planning, could be legal factors. Too much political interference. Rules and regulations could be a legal factor. You have so many requirements for a person to be in a position that you say, okay, whoever has come here is fine. Asking this person to leave or this person moving and somebody else taking on would be so much of a hassle, because all of these requirements cannot be met. Lack of formal succession planning in the government could be another legal factor. In the higher or the more overarching industry, this shouldn't be legal factors, this should be training, strategic factors. The next point should be strategic factors. Strategic factors, there could be lack of training opportunities, lack of legal requirements regarding strategic planning. So and then we have educational factors, lack of time and resources. We have cost factors, where we could have lack of a proper system of management. We don't have enough money, we don't have enough people who can take over, and all of this causes a problem with succession planning. But despite all of this, What do you do? Some steps. Okay, get your house in order. Big help. Get your affairs in order. I'll share an example from the management schools with you. It's not only about succession planning, it's about organizing and getting one's act together. This whole movement of getting business schools and engineering colleges accredited has led to organizations going through each process systematically and finding out and making streamlining their processes in a step by step manner. So they are getting their affairs in order. A lot of times we have what we call as jugaad in Hindi. Jugaad means fixing things as we encounter them, fixing problems as we encounter them. This whole patchwork system of fixing problems exists, but that is, as and when some problem comes up, we just find whatever is available to us and somehow make connections and make it work. Now that doesn't, that's not a very good practice. When you talk about succession planning, we need to know who did what and who is going to take on the responsibility next. Prepare an information package for the next person to come. So first you get your own affairs in order, streamline processes, clarify roles and responsibilities, clarify the boundaries, find out, get everything sort of clear cut and clearly demarcated, and then prepare an information package for the next person to come. Determine the price range or compensation that you will offer to the next person. If it's a government organization, things will be more or less the same, but still it is very helpful if one can determine what is the new employee going to cost. What is the successor going to cost the organization per month? Will it be higher than the predecessor or will it be lower, and why? What are the benefits? What is going to be the same? What is going to be different? So all of that. Determine negotiables. Before one plans for a successor, how does one plan for a successor? You send out an advertisement, or you let people know that a position is coming up and they come, etc. So one has to know where one is willing to compromise in terms of benefits and emoluments, and where one is going to draw the line and say, no, this is all we can do for you. Set a date. It's always important to have a deadline in mind. Spread the word. Tell people that we are looking for a successor for this position. Meet and greet. Get to know the person before you recruit them. My God, I can't stress on this enough. I cannot stress on this enough. The whole purpose of asking people to provide references is to, of course, find out what they are like. Now, when you ask people about their work, when you ask people about, when you ask referees about the kind of person this potential candidate is, people usually say very nice things, but occasionally you will find somebody who will give you some idea of what this person is like. So references cannot be trusted fully, because I will obviously, if I am applying for a job, I will not give the name of a person who I know will not say very nice things about me. So it's very essential to meet a person meet the potential candidate in person, get to know them a little bit, maybe spend a day with them, have a meal with them, and get a flavor of the kind of people they may be. Okay. Select the winner, meet several people and find out who fits in the organization best. Come to an agreement, talk to them about what you're offering them, what they can expect, what you can expect from them, and then come to an agreement, and offer them the job or the position, and then announce it to the rest of the organization. And very important to honor post deal commitments. You tell somebody that, okay, as soon as you join, within a week we'll give you accommodation, and the person is lingering on. 1 week passes by, 2 weeks pass by, 1 month passes by, and you say, no, I have no control. And then you say, okay, maybe next month, and then 1 year passes by and you still can't give them accommodation. That is not good. You say, okay, this person is with me, what can they do? Bad, very bad, shouldn't happen. So if you've made a deal, you've promised them something before they join, please make sure you give it to them after they join or as soon as they join. Okay. Making promotion decisions. How do you promote employees? You have 4 different types of decisions to make when you promote people. Is seniority or competence the rule? In some organizations, people get promoted just on the basis of seniority. You've been in a position for some time, and unless you have a very negative record, if you have been doing your work moderately well, it doesn't matter if a person junior to you has been doing their work better than you. You are higher, so you sort of get what or move on to the next level in that hierarchy. Or is competence the rule? I mean, are you promoted on the basis of the number of years you have spent with the organization, or the quantum of output that you have produced? The second decision you need to know, or you need to ponder over, is how should you measure competence? If competence is the rule, how do you measure it? In kilos, centimeters, meters, inches, what? How will you measure it? How will you define it? That has to be known beforehand, and it has to be made known to the potential employees beforehand. The third thing that one needs to ponder over is the process formal or informal? Are you going to randomly just tell people that they have been appointed to a position, or are you going to announce it, go through a process? The fourth decision you need to make is, should this decision be vertical or horizontal or another? Sometimes movement to a better placed team is more helpful, is more valuable for the employee than an upward promotion. So you have to decide. Or for in some cases, a vertical improvement or vertical movement is more appreciated. So which of these are you going to give to your employee? Sources of bias, things that can influence one's decision, are gender. Occasionally promotion decisions are influenced by the gender of the employee. Some organizations are over friendly towards women, some organizations are not so friendly towards women, some organizations are not so friendly towards men. These, our personal preferences as supervisors, can have a bearing on our decisions to promote or not promote certain employees, and that needs to be accepted and recognized. Another source of bias could be race or community. All of us feel very proud about the community we belong to, and we all say, whether we admit it or not, let's be honest, we all say that our community, our religion, our background is better than the background or religion or community or race of another person. So we see good things in ourselves and bad things in others, and given a chance, we tend to prefer people from our race or our community over people coming from another race or community. That is, I mean, we try very hard to be honest, but at the very core, if somebody were to give us a chance and we knew that we wouldn't be taken to court, we would like to give the first preference to people from our own backgrounds, or who share some affiliation with the different organizations that we bear allegiance to. The other is the horns and halo effect. When we are making promotions decisions, we tend to have this image of a person in our minds. Person may have done one thing that is very good, and we start seeing a halo around the head of this person, and we start defending them, and that, I feel, has a very that can influence our perception of this person. The other is the horns effect. Person has made one very big mistake, has not made that mistake again, but we start sort of literally seeing horns on the person's head and blood dripping from their mouths. That is the horns effect. We think that this person is a devil, is a demon, and this person is going to be bad for the organization based on the one mistake that the person has made, and that prevents us from giving the person his or her due. The other manner of movement is retirement. Okay, how do people retire? What happens when people retire? Okay, Retirement is when the organization thanks you for your efforts, for your service to the organization, and at a particular age asks you to leave the organization and go away. So that is retirement. It is separation from the organization, but not really firing. It is, a known predicted separation, a known predicted leaving the company. How can you ease retirements? Create a culture that honors experience. Whenever you have older employees in the organization, one must create a culture that honors, that respects experience. So senior employees are treated more respectfully than the junior employees. I'm not saying one should not give, one should not be respectful towards junior employees, but it always helps if the contribution of senior employees is taken into account and is respected and regarded. Then we have you modify the selection procedures. So senior employees are retiring. You in the selection procedure itself tell people what the retirement age is, tell people how and when they can expect to retire. Take younger employees if you want them to stay with the organization for a longer time, etc. I'm not saying the elderly don't need jobs, but depends on what your organization is doing. Offer flexible or part-time work. Maybe when people retire suddenly one fine day, on one day you're going to the office and you're working 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and the next day the organization says, thank you very much, we've had enough, please go home, and you suddenly feel lost. I've seen my own father go through this. I've seen other elderly in the family go through this. So we all, one feels lost completely as to what one is going to do from that day onwards, and so at that time part-time work or flexible work hours could be given to the retiring employees to make their lives easier. Or when one is planning for retirement, one knows that one will have a house to look after, one will have a family, one may want to move, and at that time one needs to start devoting time to one's family and to one's affairs, and at that time flexible work hours could be facilitated by the organization. You could also have a phased retirement, which means that you slowly start cutting down the hours. This is different from flexible or part-time work. You tell people, you allow them to take longer leave, etc. Then you could have pre-retirement counseling. You could tell people about their retirement benefits. You could have leisure time, make them aware of leisure time activities. You could help them or you could counsel them about their finances and the investments they can make with the retirement benefits they'll get. You can talk to them about their health needs after retirement. You can talk to them about psychological counseling, about the pressures that come with retirement, etc. Counseling for re-employment outside or within the same organization. So all of those things can be taken care of. Now another special situation here is dual career couples. Some problems and opportunities are work schedules, working in the office versus flexi timings versus telecommuting, balancing and sharing work and family responsibilities. So when you have both employees both partners in a marriage working, then that poses a lot of problems and does offer some opportunities also. So there could be problem with scheduling work. People have families, it's a reality of life, and it is sometimes one needs to help employees manage their families also. So so that needs to be looked at. Then working in the office versus flexi timings versus telecommuting. When both the partners are working, one needs to help them, in order to, or in an attempt to help them manage their families. One needs to sometimes allow one or both partners to have flexible timings, and telecommute to help them look after their families. Then balancing and sharing work and family responsibilities, so giving them an opportunity to do that. Some problems are related to travel. You can't have both partners traveling at the same time. Who's going to look after kids, who's going to look after parents, etc. Finances need to be managed. Transfers, especially if they are in the same line of work, I mean, it's difficult to transfer one person, and if they're transferred to different places, then it becomes a problem. So managing men and women mid-career, some challenges. Just before retirement, there are some challenges to managing people who are in the middle of their careers. There's an awareness of advancing age and an awareness of death, awareness of body changes related to aging. You're not as physically able to do things that you were able to do earlier. Knowing how many career goals have been or will be attained, what was I able to do, what was I not able to do. So people take stock of these situations. Awareness of search for new life goals. What will I do after retirement? What will happen to me later on? Marked change in family relationships. Again, as people grow older, their children grow up, they move out, their children get married, they have sons and daughters-in-law, and they have daughters and sons-in-law, they have grandchildren. Sometimes people divorce, family structure changes, and that will have an impact on how they work. There's a change in work relationships, senior versus newbies. As we grow older, we become set in our ways, and we find it very difficult to deal with the new people who are coming in, who are more efficient than us. Growing sense of obsolescence at work, plateaued worker. Many times we learn skills and we are so happy with whatever we know, and we are so happy with the stability of our careers or of our jobs, that it becomes very, very difficult for us to learn new things, and we reach a plateau and we are sort of frozen in our ways, and that gives us a sense of being obsolete, but we feel very, it's very difficult for us to change and learn to adapt with newer ways of working. Feeling of decreased job mobility and increased concern for job security. So that is another problem. Now, how do you manage older workers? As people grow older, what you can do is, is help them understand, or help them develop some sort of coherence between their ability and activity and job, and that will have an impact on their productivity. You can enhance their preparedness for change. Absence becomes an issue when people grow older. They have health issues, they have increasing family demands, and that becomes a problem. There's a tendency for accidents on the job, especially if the job is physical. Of course, there could be issues with interpersonal relationships at work. One wants to be respected by juniors. Juniors come with their own ideas. They may or may not respect you, so that can be a problem. Cost of employee benefits goes up as people grow older. Their health benefits need to be looked after, etc., and they need flexibility regarding the work that is assigned because of advancing age, because they are set in their ways, because of they are unable to learn new things, because they demand respect, etc. There could be interruptions and ego issues. People feel uncomfortable about being answerable or being about a junior person, a person way junior in age, telling them what to do, or being directed by juniors. Training opportunities, again, you want to train them, but they don't want to be trained. Maintenance of records becomes a problem. or more records need to be maintained as people grow older, because there are lots of issues surrounding their work, and suitability and modification of performance appraisal systems. You cannot appraise the performance of a senior employee the same way you would appraise the performance of a junior employee. So these are some of the challenges in managing older workers. We will talk about career management systems implemented by organizations in the last session, and we will also talk about other types of employee separations. So but then in the next session we'll cover all of this, and we will talk more about and then we will revise whatever we have done so far, and that will wrap up this whole course on human resources management, the last session on human resources management part 1. So thank you very much for listening. I'll see you in the next session.